Hey, what's up, good people? This is your boy Jabril, man, back on the replay, and welcome to a special edition where we're doing the college Final Four. I think many of you may have seen the Final Four committee selecting colleges' Final Four teams who will be vying to play for the national championship game. I want to get your thoughts, your comments about what happened. But before we get into all of this, go ahead and hit the subscribe, like, and share button for me. Please do that for me. Hit the subscribe, like, and share button. Okay, we're growing the channel, and I look forward to continue to do that and providing content on this particular topic or platform regarding sports culture, the sports and cultural show. Okay, that we do. We upload it once a week, and we're going to be incorporating some other things so we can maybe get 2 or 3 videos up during the week. So today we're talking about it, y'all. We're talking about the what I would deem as a travesty, a travesty. And I want to get you guys opinions. Respond. We can agree to disagree, but I personally feel as though what happened or took place on Sunday was a travesty. You had the sixth best team in college football, right? Michigan, Washington, Texas, Florida State, Alabama, and Georgia, all trying to get into the Final Four to see who will be crowned 2023 national champions. And of course, if you don't know by now, then I'm going to share with you Florida State University, the Seminoles, did not get in. Did not get in. And I was like, wow. And I was texting back and forth with my guy, DA. That's my brother. We have our difference of agreements on how we view this right here. He felt as though at the beginning he stated that Texas would be out. I said, there's no way Texas can be out. Just no way. If Texas is out, then I would kindly suggest that the commissioner of the Big 12 or even the athletic director file a civil lawsuit. Because Texas, early in the year, as many of you may know, went into Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and defeated Alabama Crimson Tide. They got rolled over. And it wasn't a last-minute field goal. Wasn't about 1 point. Wasn't about 3 points. They defeated them by 10 points in their own backyard. 34-24, I believe the final score was. So now everyone is talking about how well they're playing now. Look how they beat Georgia. Well, let me put a couple of caveats in that. One, everybody go through tour days. Everybody get the same schedule. Okay? When you look down at that schedule, you know who your opponents are. You understand that Texas is coming to your building, to your house. That's understood. So for Texas to come down there and do what they did to Alabama and walk out of there with a convincing, not a question mark win, but a convincing win, it was no way they was going to leave Texas out. I say they can't do it. But the problem I have is this so-called SEC. The SEC, the Southeastern Conference, which, by the way, I no longer call it the SEC. I call it the Security Exchange Commission now because it's all money-driven. It's all money-driven. The decision today to put Alabama into the Final Four was nothing but about money. It was all about money. And you know who lose in this? The kids. Those young men from Florida State who fought week in and week out. You can make an argument. Now, I understand, yes. They talked about they want the 4 best teams. Okay. When you use that kind of language, the 4 best teams, I'm saying, well, let's look at the 4 best teams. Let's look in this context, let's look at the 6th best team. I can't definitively say that Georgia would have defeated Texas, nor can I say that Texas would have defeated Georgia. However, what we do know is Texas defeated Alabama. And when you look at Alabama, granted, they're playing some heck of a football right now. They went and defeated Georgia on a neutral site, if you want to call it that, They was performing. I think they played at Mercedes-Benz, in Atlanta, Georgia. So I still think that Georgia had really the fan base, a little bit more of the fan base, but Alabama's not that far from Georgia. Okay, but they beat them on a neutral site, whereas Alabama got beat in their home stadium in Tuscaloosa. So we're still talking about the 6 best teams. Last I checked, Florida State didn't have a blemish on their record, 13-0. Last I checked, Florida State is a Power 5 school. Last I checked, they're also the ACC title champions. Then when you make a case that they lost their starting quarterback, Jordan Austin, knocked out in the middle of the season for the rest of the year, and they still won without him. Then the second string, I believe his last name was Taterdam, he gets in the game, get knocked out with a concussion. And guess what? Florida State still wins without him. Then the other night, they're playing for the ACC title with a true freshman at quarterback. And guess what? They still win. They have one of the toughest defenses, the toughest front seven, if not the toughest front seven in all of college football, with that young man Fisk and Verse. And then you got Deloach on that second level or third level. Hey man, they got a resounding defense. That's a stifling defense. And I would have liked to have seen those young men get their opportunity. Now, if you're in a popularity contest and you want to be reminded of the championships and Nick Saban and all of the glitz and the glamour that comes with Alabama, so be it. But don't tell me that as a parent, if you had a son that was playing for a school like Florida State, or you're a coach of a little league team or a coach of a high school team, and you're undefeated, that you wouldn't want your opportunity. Everybody does. If we took the narrative that they took on Sunday with this committee select team, quote unquote, if we took that attitude with how they came up with Alabama sliding into that 4th seed, then you wouldn't have this thing called upset weekend. You wouldn't have the Buster Douglases upsetting the likes of a Mike Tyson, or the Philadelphia Eagles beating a Tom Brady's New England Patriot team in the Super Bowl. You wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have the language called upset weekend. You just wouldn't have that. And that's what makes it exciting. It is the unknown. But yes, once again, that thing called Federal Reserve notes commercialism, however you want to put it, raises its ugly head. And then you squeeze in a team like Alabama, and then you try to justify it by saying, well, they're playing the best football now. They're playing the best football out of any other team. Yeah, but what about back in September when Texas went down there and whooped them? What about really, if you really want to talk about it, they should have lost the game to Auburn. Yes, the Iron Bowl. Yes, to a 6-6 Auburn team. Auburn was leading that game well late into the 4th quarter. It took a minute or so touchdown thrown like a Hail Mary in the back of the end zone for Alabama to squeeze that victory out. And let me remind you, good people, Auburn lost to New Mexico. Did you hear what I just said? They lost to New Mexico. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about on any given weekend. In this case, any given Saturday. But you just had to do it. The politics just had to creep in. DA was telling me about they couldn't leave Texas or Alabama out because of the fans and so forth and all. I said, but what about the fans of Florida State University? What about those students, those kids who laid it on the line for 13 straight weeks with a bye week? But what about those young men who would not get the opportunity to at least prove the doubters wrong? That defense still wins championships. Yeah, this is a tragedy. This is definitely a travesty of all equations in my subjective estimation. Again, I think all 6 teams are great. I really do. If you don't think Georgia want another bite at the apple to play, Alabama again, because maybe they saying that we had a bad day. Why should we be on the outside looking in? I am so grateful, so thankful that they're moving this playoff system to a 12-game team system next year. Unfortunately, we still have to deal with this year. But if they would have just did 8 teams, I would have been happy and still believe that they would have gotten it right. I do believe they would have gotten it right. But they're moving into 12 teams. So you will finally really have a true number one, you know. But I don't know how, you remedy the situation when you can't remedy it now. I think that if given the critique of what this selective committee did, I think there should be some I think Florida State need to be indemnified. Let me put it like that. They need to be indemnified. They need to have some type of punitive damages, some type of settlement or something. And personally, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If I was Coach Mike Norvell, I wouldn't want to play Georgia. Not because I'm afraid of competition, because I don't want you to make any more money. You know that still would be a money-making game. So why would I want you guys to win? Keep lying and fattening your pockets when you have denied these children. I don't care nothing about the SEC and all of the road tide and all the stuff that comes along with the SEC, because there was a time when the SEC wasn't even mentioned. It may have been mentioned back when Bear Bryant back in the 70s a little bit, but Oklahoma ruled the 70s. Miami Hurricane ruled the 80s. So let's don't get it twisted. And when you cut through all of the red tape at the top, you really only have Alabama and Georgia. Florida fell off a long time ago. You got the Vanderbilts, the Missouris, who wasn't in the SEC at one time. They was in the Big 8. Texas A&M was in the Southwest Conference. So you really only have 2 teams. So this thing they keep talking about, the SEC, the SEC. SEC, my foot. The Security Exchange Commission, that's what it's about. I don't even know why Texas would even want to go in the SEC, since they have the 3rd largest endowment out of any other university in the country behind Harvard and Yale. Yes, Texas have their own network. You don't need the SEC. If you ask me personally, I would rather for them to really bring back the Southwest Conference. Keep all our athletes in state, if there was a possibility, since they want to define the SEC as if that's such a great conference. Yeah, but they don't talk about how you come in and you recruit a lot of the Texas athletes to go play for your SEC schools, the Alabamas and the Georgias, as well as the Floridas. They don't talk about that as much. But again, I think this is it is a travesty to leave Florida State out of the picture, to give them the deserving opportunity to go prove the doubters wrong. And as much as I felt comfortable that they would be in it, because I said to myself, they're undefeated. They don't have a blemish on their record. So if anybody get played, if it was going to be a team, I said perhaps it would be Texas, but that wouldn't have been just a travesty. It would have been an atrocity to leave Texas out of it. But they chose Florida State simply because they say their offense looked different without their quarterback. That's a true freshman that played the other night. A true freshman. They was getting their second string quarterback back. And I think Mike Norvell could have lived with that, his second string quarterback, because he could play. He could play. Sometimes when you're on that depth chart, look at DeRon Bland with the Dallas Cowboys. He got his opportunity. And he took that opportunity and he shined. It done something that even Deion Sanders never did. They have 5 interceptions and running back for touchdowns. So you don't know that person who's backing up that first person. You don't know what goes into the preparation. I remember when I was on the second string, and I vowed that when that first corner went down, that he would never see left corner again. And he never saw left corner again. In fact, he was moved to strong safety. So you never know what's in a backup player. So that quarterback for Florida State, I truly believe perhaps could have gotten the job done playing with such a great defense like Florida State. But we'll never know, will we? Because why? The politics kicked in with an Alabama. I think that is wrong on all levels. You can agree to disagree, and I'm fine with that too. But I'm thinking about these young people. What's going to be their memory? Some of those young people are seniors for Florida State. Never had the opportunity. And the way Mike Norvell resurrected their program after the glory days of Bobby Bowden back in the day when they had the Deion Sanders and the Amp Lees and the Warwick Dunns and the Charlie Wards, and the Derrick Brooks and all those guys, to bring that program back to prominence, you just snatch it away from them. And it was sad to hear a kid like Jordan Austin. He tweeted out, he stated that he wished that he had broken it. Listen to this carefully. He wished that he had broken his leg earlier in the year so that the world could see that the Florida State Seminoles, the Noles, are much more than Jordan Austin. Man, that touched my heart. Yeah. The mere fact that this young man stated that he wished he would have broken his leg earlier. Why break his leg at all? But he's thinking about his teammates because he believed in his teammates. He believed that they could still get the job done, regardless of how you may feel about it, because you're on the outside. We're all on the outside looking in, but you're looking at the past glory days of Alabama and what they did. You know, I'm not taking anything away from Milrose and Nick Saban and those Alabama Crimson Tide. They have played a lot better. They have. We've watched Milrose, the quarterback, from day one grow into where he's at now, sustaining and believing in his preparation. And I applaud him for that. But I also think that if you had been playing your best football early in the season, maybe you wouldn't have lost to Texas. Maybe. But that game was proven on the field in between the lines, not because somebody's sitting there looking at a piece of paper, some committee looking at some guidelines. And you want to talk about strength of schedule? We can discuss that too. Florida State's strength of schedule was third ranked. Alabama's strength of schedule was fourth ranked. So what are we doing here? You have not only a title champion, ACC, you got a conference champion in Florida State with an unblemished record of 13-0. I kind of recall, back in my high school days, we had a three-way tie. It was a school, North Mesquite Stallions, the Highland Park Scots, and the Wilmer Hutchins Eagles, my alma mater. And that was a three-way tie. We was 9-1. 9-1. North Mesquite defeated us. Highland Park defeated North Mesquite, and we defeated Highland Park. First time in school history. And you know how we wind up going to the playoffs? It was the first time ever that two teams from the same district could enter into the playoff. And the way we got in was through a flip of a coin. They flipped a coin to see who was going to get in, who was going to get out. And we won. Wilmer Hutchins and the Highland Park Scots won the coin toss. And we was jovial. We was elated. We was happy. We was excited. I recall running out of the restaurant, everybody hugging and embracing one another. But then I had this sense of presence to say to myself, wow, North Mesquite didn't even get in. I wonder how they feel at 9-1. And believe me, they had a very good team. And they didn't get in. And yes, that was a travesty too. So you got a 9-1 team, and it happens. It happens. But again, you play the schedule that's given to you. It's no different when I tell people about the Dallas Cowboys. They all go through the OTAs. They all go through tour days. They all get the schedule. We play the team that just lined up. You put them in front of us. Hey, that's the way it goes. If Dallas wasn't defeating these teams convincingly, squeaking these games out by a field goal, 2 or 3 points, you could make an argument. But they always want to move the goalpost when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Think about it for a second. If they hadn't beaten the New York Giants 40-0 in the opening season game, it would have been something said, because they was actually expecting Dallas would probably lose to New York, being in New York, and that they was coming off as a playoff team. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that about, you ain't played nobody. You play the schedule. You play the schedule. That's what Dallas have done. That's what these college kids have done. They play the schedule what's in front of them. And last I checked, once again, they didn't have no blemish. No blemish. No blemish. So they decided to put Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama into the Final Four. There are some good games that's going to be played, without question. But again, it's sad that Florida State is on the outside looking in. And if I was Florida State, I said it a second ago, I said it again, I wouldn't play Georgia. I'd rather see them play Ohio State. I'd rather see them play Ohio State than Georgia. Don't let them continue to make their money on this asinine decision that they made. Nah. So I had to come on here. Just want to jump on real quick on a special edition of this college Final Four and just get you all take on it. Leave your comments, share. Like I said, subscribe, like, and share. I do want to say before I leave, big shout out to Washington and Texas. Two of my spiritual nephews, Jabbar Muhammad, Malik Muhammad, will be going at it. Who could have saw this back last spring, when Jabbar decided to jump in that transfer portal and transfer to Washington. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And like I said, we know is big money in it because that transfer portal is nothing but free agency. They just want to use transfer portal because they're so hard pressed in not making this a semi-pro game. But unfortunately, that's exactly what it is. I wish we could have got paid back in our day. That's why they created NIL deals. They knew everything was contractually being endorsed and nobody was making money except for these athletic directors and these coaches. So I'm glad to see these kids being compensated. So yes, the transfer portal is nothing but free agency. That's all it is. They can keep trying to hide and play with it all they want. That's the reason why schools like Alabama can get in. But, again, to see my two spiritual nephews, I know they dads, Malik Sr. and his brother Elijah, who's the father of Jabbar. I know they're going to be split down the middle. They're going to be a family, man, rooting for both sides, but it could only be one winner. And I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna sit back and watch it and root for both of them, man, and may the best team win. I may give a prediction on it, I may not. But again, I just want to make sure that whatever happens, man, that that both teams give it all they got. Give it all they got. So again, this is the Replay Sports Culture Show. I want you guys to subscribe, like, and share. And like I said, we'll be continuing to upload stuff. We're going to start trying to incorporate a little bit more content, a little bit more videos. I want to bring some of my high school students on here, as well as some of the retirees and so forth. And that's some of the things that we're working toward. So again, guys, I want to give a big shout out, man, to Florida State University. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Brighter days are ahead for a bunch of you guys. You all will continue to hopefully excel at the next level. It's not over with. You still have an opportunity to go represent your school in a bowl game. Just make sure you pick the right bowl that's opposite of Georgia, because I just wouldn't give it to them like that. So at the end of the day, you can still say that you accomplished a lot. A 14-game win season, that's saying a lot. That's something that's on your resume. So hopefully those things will work out for you guys in the future. So I want to say thank you all for just joining me on this brief special edition of the Replay. And we're going to be back real soon. We'll be uploading on Monday. Again, please hit the like, subscribe, and share button, because this content is growing. This channel is growing, and I couldn't do it without you guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Again, leave your comments, your remarks about what you think about this committee not allowing Florida State to take part in this national run for a national college championship. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to speaking with you all in just a second. So good luck to you. I'll see you soon. Peace and love. Enjoy your day.